Teacher Talking Sports, what it does, what it do, how we living. After each week of the NFL season, I do something I like to call the Fantasy Stars, who were mostly unowned. In these, we take a look at one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, and one tight end, who were mostly unowned in fantasy football leagues but performed well. And to be eligible to be on here, you must have been owned in less than 25% of ESPN fantasy football leagues entering the week. So let's take a look at Week 7 fantasy stars who are mostly unowned. Let's start at quarterback with Andy Dalton. Dalton was owned in just 1.9% of fantasy leagues in ESPN. Threw for 4 touchdown passes. That was his first 4 touchdown pass game since the 2019 season. Fortunately for the Saints, he also threw 3 interceptions, 2 of which were returned for touchdowns, but 361 yards, 4 touchdowns. Had more yards than he did in the previous 2 games, in which he only had 2 touchdowns. We will see if Jameis Winston will be back starting for the Saints next week, or if they stick with Dalton. At running back, Gus Edwards from my alma mater, Rutgers, owned in 13.1% of ESPN leagues. His first game in a year and a half, and Gus Edwards definitely showed up, scoring 2 touchdowns and totaling 66 rushing yards on 16 carries. Had 6 touchdowns and 723 yards in 2020. Also had over 700 yards rushing in 2018 and 2019. With J.K. Dobbins injured, expect Gus Edwards to continue getting the brunt of the work. The other running back is Chuba Hubbard of the Carolina Panthers. Hubbard hadn't seen much playing time, but the team has traded Christian McCaffrey. Got the start. 9 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. Had just 6 rushing attempts on the season entering the game. Just 1 catch. Had 2 catches in Week 7. Mostly splitting the time with Dante Foreman. So Hubbard will likely be picked up in a lot of leagues. Wide receiver Mecole Hardman of the Kansas City Chiefs. The 2019 second-round pick has had pretty much 3 straight productive games. Had 32 receiving yards and a touchdown, but had 2 rushing touchdowns as well. They're actually the first 2 rushing touchdowns of his career. In his last 3 games, he has totaled 11 catches for 147 yards and 2 touchdowns. We'll see if he's someone that fans look to pick up, fantasy owners. Paris Campbell of the Colts, this second straight week he was on here. By the way, Hardman was owned in 21.2% of leagues. Hubbard just short of 25%, 24.7%. Paris Campbell, even though he was on this list last week, his percentage owned just went up to just 2.7%, finishing with 10 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. His past 2 games, 23 targets, 17 catches, 127 yards, and 2 touchdowns. While you think he might be added quite extensively in fantasy leagues, remember the Colts did make the quarterback change from Matt Ryan to Sam Ehlinger, which might make them even more of a run-oriented team. So we'll see if Campbell could continue to have fantasy relevancy, even with Matt Ryan no longer starting. And at tight end, we got Juwan Johnson, New Orleans Saints. Johnson, in his 3rd season, caught his first 2 touchdowns of the year, and the Saints lost to the Cardinals. Had 4 touchdowns last season in 14 games. Has been productive the past 2 games, now totaling 9 catches over the last 2 weeks, with the tight end position so shallow. Johnson may be a guy that some people look to pick up, especially if tight ends that you own have a bye week. So there you have it, the Week 7 fantasy stars who are mostly unowned. Let me know in the comments if you think any of these guys could be fantasy relevant for the rest of the season, if you're looking to pick any of them up, or if you're looking who you're looking to pick up in general from your free agency waiver wire. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.